So you just got your maxscape or have been maxed for a little while and you're considering going for a completionist scape, but you feel a bit lost on the best way to go about it. Well, don't you worry my friend, in this video I will tell you the best way, in my personal opinion, to tackle that long list of completionist scape requirements. In the chapters you will find the major topics we will be discussing, and to future-proof this video I won't go into details about all completionist scape requirements. I mean, the video would literally be an hour long if I did anyway, but mainly because these requirements happen to change a lot. This guide is more meant to give you a general approach to getting a completionist scape, like the order to do things in and how to best approach the bigger requirements. But don't worry, we will touch on the harder requirements like ports, 120R, questscape, etc. in a bit more detail. Down below I will also link my playlist to my completionist scape requirement guides, and I actually want to know from you watching, what is something you want to see a guide on, as I'm looking into making more guides for both completionist and trim completionist scape requirements. Whilst you're down there, consider leaving a like and subscribe if you are new. Now without further ado, my name's Chevalric and let's talk about it. Before we go into detail about the bigger requirements and time gates, I want to give you some general tips and tricks. Start your time gates straight away. Things like ports and farming. These requirements are locked by in real life time, so the sooner you start these, the better. Even if you're watching this video and are not sure about comping yet, start these as they will make that decision a lot easier to make. This one is more of a personal preference, but really helped myself, is having fun and making money by bossing or cluing or whatever you like to do after you obtained your maxscape. You just did a massive grind and you're forcing yourself into a new one. For some this might work, but if you're like me, this can cause a massive burnout. Start your time gates, and besides that, go have fun, make money. You will need it for 120 herb lore, and having a little bit of cash genuinely makes some other requirements a lot easier and faster as well. You don't need billions, but a few hundred M's in the pouch won't hurt. Once you started the comp grind, make sure to trim down your list as much as possible. There are a lot of small comp requirements that take a few hours at most to do, so tackle these first. They will make you feel like you're actually making progress and will make the list a lot less intimidating. Also, chop certain requirements up. Getting 1000 KC with the Yaktui stick isn't fun, so do 200 a day or just only do them whenever you feel like it. Don't burn yourself out by just mindlessly grinding something that you are not enjoying. Yes, you need to get it done, but try and split it up. It will generally help you out. And lastly, lay out what requirements will give you trouble and what you need for those that you might not have right now. The wiki has a list of requirements where you can tick off the ones you have completed and then look at the ones that you haven't. There is also one in game as well, but I recommend using the wiki one, as it's also an easy way to instantly open the related page to see what is required. Figure out which ones are simply just doing the thing that it says, and which one might be time gated or requiring you to do some other obscure piece of content. This way you will never be surprised by anything that might come up. Now let's dive deeper in some of the harder requirements of comp and even trim completion escapes, starting off with the time gates. Well, they're not that hard, as they require little to no input at all, but if you have these ones left last, you might be waiting literal months before you can comp. The most obvious one is ports. I will leave my guide to the fastest way to get the completion escape requirement done in the description down below, and I highly recommend you check it out and get it started ASAP. And once you're done, continue with ports as well, especially if you don't mind it and it's in your daily routine anyway, as you need to complete everything for trim. A little tip for that as well, both comp and trim: use your dungeoneering tokens to buy port rerolls so that you can reroll special missions and have a higher chance of getting the story missions you need. There are also a lot of comp requirements you can zero time, meaning that you will never have to do them. That is, if you keep up with the Traveling Merchant. The Traveling Merchant is a shop that allows you to buy things like Livid Plant for Livid Farm Reputation, BA Horns to get Barbarian Assault points, and a lot of other useful items that can help you with your grind. For Compcape, you mainly want to focus on buying the Livid plants, as Livid Farm is really boring and quite slow, and Harmonic Dust, to save you from having to collect yourself for certain Priv related requirements. If you're going for Trim, you also want to be buying the Gooby Burial Charms, Menified Gift Offerings, Unstable Air Runes, Enema Crystals, Horns of Honor, and Tajitu, just to help you out in the long term. And Slayer VIP coupons never hurt either, as they will allow you to pick tasks which might come in handy. Another time gate, kind of, is 120 farming. Sure, you can train it actively by killing Turoths with a Seedicide, but you can also just farm Black Dragons once a week for 1 million experience, which is the cheapest option. Or you can stack up your entire farm with the highest animal you can put in each pen and gain even more experience. Adding tree runs on top of that every single day, and farming will become a breeze. For the trimmers, start your breeding logs as soon as possible, as this can save you a buttload of time in the long run. The final time gate is Anachronia. Just stay on top of this and make sure your workers are always collecting resources you need. You need to upgrade all the buildings, and it's great to not have to worry about this either. Make sure to keep an eye out on the Roar of Osius as well, as you will be needing certain items from specific Anachronia activities like Agility, Big Game Hunter, and certain monsters. When the Roar is active, it increases your rates significantly, so make use of it. Certain items can also be obtained in the Dream of Aya, which I only recommend once you have plenty of extra Anachronia resources, as they are required to do the activity within. A great tip for both Anachronia and ports is getting the Command Center 3 from the fort built as soon as possible. You need to build the entire thing anyway, and I highly recommend you focusing this, as it gives you a flat 10% success rate in ports and extra workers on Anachronia. Now I want to introduce you to a really good daily as well, Modelload Maw. This is an activity that unlocks with 115 Dungeoneering and can be found in the Malware District in Prifddinas in the Edamu dungeon. Maw can give you all sorts of items that will help you with your comp grind, but the main ones you are looking for are the potion recipes. I got all my potion recipes for comp by just doing Maw, which saved me doing Dungeoneering for them. It also has a list of useful items for Trim, mainly the enhancers that give you accelerated progress for certain activities. Now onto the big requirements that aren't time gated. The 120 skills, Questscape, and area achievements. The area achievements look daunting at first, but in reality are a walk in the park. There are a lot of achievements there that take less than 5 minutes to complete, so knock those out first to shrink down the list as much as possible. The two hardest or longest ones by far are the Minion Tower for the desert achievements and Temple Trekking for the more Tania ones. But I also happen to have guides on those that make them a breeze to complete, so check those out. And on the topic of Questscape, just do the quest. Fraqsu has a lot of real-time quest guides that are really nice to put on in the background whilst you're doing them, or just use the wiki as per usual. The only tip I can give you is to focus on the more useful quests first, the ones that unlock meaningful upgrades like Extinction for the passive Ring of Vigor or the Fort questline for all the buildings, and to go from there. Lastly, the skills. Due to 110s just being announced and them not being confirmed to be on the Completionist cape as of me making this video, I won't be tackling these, but my advice would be just to train them up by using the best method. Duh. But in regards to the 120s, first of all, Invention. Always have everything augmented and siphon your gear at level 12. I'm talking weapons, armor, and skilling tools. Make sure that for every single XP point you gain in a skill, you gain Invention XP. This will make this skill the most free 120 in the game. Archaeology is simple. Follow the Wiki Archaeology progression guide and you will have all the comp requirements done by the time you're 120 and will be well on your way for the trim ones as well. Necromancy is very easy. Use it as your main combat style whenever you're doing anything, and you'll be very close to 120 by the time you got 120 Slayer and have done all the other activities you want to do with combat. Herblore is just having money. I did vulnerability bombs to 120 and bought my supplies just after double XP ended for cheap, used them on the next double XP and sold them a month after it ended and made a profit doing so, and I would highly recommend a similar approach if you have the cash to spare. For Slayer, it's simple. Slay things. There's an optimal block prefer list on PVME that I will link down below, and don't forget, spend money on Slayer. as you will most likely be earning it back. Do the tasks as efficient as possible, making it a lot more fun in my opinion, but also ridiculously fast. You can gain 2 to 3 million Slayer experience an hour if you're doing it right. And if you're going for trim in the future, bring a new shop tea to gather the souls of certain creatures to future-proof yourself for this requirement. And finally, my least favorite skill of them all, dungeoneering. If you're like me and don't like it, do your weekly penguins, throw all daily challenges on it, all excess XP lamps, and by the time you got all the other 120s, you will most likely have dungeoneering 120 as well. If not, run floors. I wish I had better advice, but the elite dungeons are not a viable training method. And those are all the general tips I have for you regarding the Completionist gate. Focus the time gates, don't force yourself to do grinds all at once, and plan out your journey to the best of your ability. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, consider leaving a like on it, as it really helps me out. Then subscribe for more Compcape related content. My name's Chevalric, and see you guys in my next video.